In my sewing, I like to do a lot of embellishments. That's a real fun thing for me to do. So we're going to explore a really cool embellishing foot tonight. And we are going to be looking at the Fringe looping foot. Does anybody own this foot already? You can just comment in the section with a yes if you have this foot at home. But what you do, you can get a really cool, there's a good close picture of it. Okay. So there's a lot of little tricks to using this foot. And I do have a sample, but I'm actually going to sew on one and show you what I think could be a really great use for this foot. Yes, you can make those little fringe flowers. And when you're using it, you're using a zigzag stitch, and it actually looks like chenille once you get it sewn down. So when I was setting up my altair, I just free motion sewed the letter R. Now this thinner area here where you can see the background fabric through, that was done with a 0.7 stitch length. The rest of this was done with a 0.4 to make it a little closer together. I kind of like how this part looks here better, I think. But what I think would be a great use for this foot, honestly, is to do some embellishing around appliques. I don't know if anybody likes to do appliques, but you can applique in the hoop, then bring it out of the hoop onto the machine and actually use this foot. And here's what it looks like. Let me get this close up so you can see it. If I hold it just right, and that's not just right, just a minute there, you can see there's a little metal bar right there in the center. And the zigzag stitch goes over that, and it keeps the thread raised up off from the fabric, and that's what produces the loops and technically the fringe. Okay, so I'm going to attach this foot to my machine, and I'm using the exact stitch settings that is in the little owner's sheet for this foot. It's always something great to have because I'm going to hold this up. It will show you exactly what settings to put on your machine. This came with the foot in its bubble package, but there's how you want to set up your machine, whichever machine you're going to use. Any machine that will do a zigzag, and that's not a multi-step zigzag. You cannot do a straight stitch, nor can you do a multi-step zigzag. This is just a regular zigzag stitch to go back and forth over the top of the needle bar. You're going to set your stitch length to 0.7. You can go all the way to 0.4 on it. And the stitch width, no smaller than 2, no higher than 5 for it to operate properly. As long as you follow these settings, and you also have to put your upper thread tension all the way down to 0.4. Yes, 0.4. So I'm going to just pull my needle camera over to my screen, my touch screen, so you can see how I have that set up. Stitch width I have set at 5. Stitch length 0.4, tension 0.4. Those are the only 3 things we have to set to do this stitch. Stitch menu 1, stitch 1-10. That is the zigzag stitch that I am going to use. So here we go. You just want to go at a nice, even, slow speed. And it puts that thread right over that metal bar and keeps it raised up. This is really cool. I'm already thinking of a lot of ways to use this on some of my quilts and some of my home decor items. But I'm going to show you an actual project that I'm working on. That's as far as I want to go. So I have my machine set up so that when I hit the tie off button, it's going to tie off the stitch and cut the thread. I'll take 3 tacks and cut and raise my foot. And you can see I just put this really cool, and I'm going to get this close so you can really try to see the texture. I'm going to hold it up like this. I mean, the thread actually sticks up a good 1/4 inch above the flatness. Let's see if I can get that angle just right and see it there. Pretty cool, right? So the sample that I'm working on, a lot of times when I go to a live event somewhere, I like to make table runners because they're easy to transport in luggage when I'm flying somewhere. And it's also a great way to do practice techniques on. So the one I've got right here, okay, it's a table runner with hearts on it. And I have quilted part of it in the hoop on the Altair. I've done all the applique in the hoop on the Altair. But now I'm going to take one of these hearts that I haven't finished around the edges. I fused them all down with Steam-A-Seam. So I'm going to put this red fringe loop all the way around and cover up the raw edge of one of these appliques. I think that would be a really cool effect. So we're going to try it out and see what it looks like. And I will do this one up here. Oh, and yes, you can do free motion quilting on the Altair. Let me show you this. These little feathers and pearls, I was just playing around one day. Right there. Right there. That's just free motion on the Altair. And some feathers. I love to free motion quilt feathers. It's my favorite thing to quilt. Okay. So I am going to go around. I'm going to go around this pink one right here with this. So what I'm going to do, and this is where that magnifying lens, in my opinion, will come in really handy. I'm going to move this down to a corner. Okay. I'm actually going to put my magnifying lens down so I can see the needle drop better. Much easier. The highest magnification just to get started. I'm actually going to use my hand wheel on the side to get that right where I want it. I want the edge, if I'm going to do raw edge applique with this, what I want to do is put the exact edge of the applique so that that metal bar rides right on top of it, kind of like a stitch in the ditch foot would. But I'm going to start it right on the point of that heart. Okay. What I do, I'll lower the presser foot with the presser foot button on the machine, but then to fine tune it, I will use the little lever so I can move it over and back, and that looks pretty darn good right there. Now I'll move that up and out of my way. Okay, and here we go. I'm just going to, nice and slow, nice and easy, just keep a consistent speed. And yes, you can very slowly turn around curves and stuff with this foot, so it's really pretty cool. Oh, I like how that looks already. Think what this would look like with metallic thread, making these chenille loops around an applique. That could be fun. I love metallic threads. I'm just going to stop a minute and reposition my excess fabric here. There we go. And off we go. I'm just turning it slowly to match the edge of that raw applique shape that's fused down. The great thing about fusing it down, you don't have to worry about no pins, straight pins to remove or anything like that. bring me right to that. Now I'm going to stop with it. Oh, since I'm going to turn it this way, I'm going to stop with the needle in the left, on the left side of the foot, so that when I turn it, it will start out just perfect. And here we go. Start going around the curve. I'm not watching the needle. I'm watching where that little metal bar is so I can follow the edge of that applique. I never watch the needle when I sew. I have learned over the years, if you keep your eye on that needle, when you're doing applique, you're not going to be happy with the finished result. You have to find a mark and watch it on the foot to keep it nice and smooth. We're getting up to the end here. That really looks cool. It's like a three-dimensional satin stitch. It's totally cool. Okay, we're getting to the end. And I'm going to tie it off and have it cut the thread. Okay. And when you first take it off, you have to push it back to release all the thread off of the bar. Pretty cool. But check this out. I'm going to get it close. That's what we just did right there. Now a person could go in and fill this in with more thread if you really want to do even a more pronounced chenille design, but I think that looks pretty good like that.